In this video, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of our new 3D hoodie mock-up so you can present your work just like this. So if you're familiar with our products already, you'll know that we've got lots of 3D mock-ups available on our store, and this is the newest edition that we're dropping at the moment. This one in particular comes from the iconic Yeezy Balenciaga and Gap collaboration. We absolutely love this hoodie. It's got a really nice mock neck finish. The size is nice and cropped and oversized, and I think that that's going to be a direction that we're going to see a lot more of this year. So we've put this mock-up together for you, so it's something that you can work with and take inspiration from. And I think we're going to see a lot more blank suppliers providing this mock neck style. This is a collaboration with Future Deconstruction. If you haven't checked him out on Instagram, you really need to go and do it. He's a brilliant 3D artist. So this mock-up is coming from the highest standards. All right, so we've got two different versions of this product. We've got an animated walking pose that rotates as well as walking, and you can switch off the rotation and just have it walking in one direction. Or we got the static version, which is just a 360 and it doesn't move. So with this one, let's work with the 3D walking mock-up. So as you'll see when you open up the folder, we've got all these source files. So you're going to want to go and open up this Blender file first. And when you do, you'll see you've got your mock-up here. You just want to go down into the bottom corner and just make sure you're using the most up-to-date version of Blender. If you're having any problems from the start, the chances are you're using an old version, so just make sure that's up to date. Up here in the top right-hand corner as well, we've got our preview window as well. So we've got this one, which shows you the wireframe. We don't want to use that because we're not going to be able to see what's going on, but it's a quick way of working if you need that. This is just a little idea of what the model's looking like. And then we've got our shading preview. This one's okay, but the problem with this one is it doesn't give you a full accurate representation of the product and how that's looking with your artwork, but it's quite a quick way of working. And then we've got a live render view over here as well. And that is a much more accurate representation of what it's going to render like. So just for the interest of speed and simplicity, I'm going to work in the third one just so we've got everything working nice and quickly. We've got a couple of room options here as well. So we've got the room with the rocks and we've got the room with the metal floor, which is something that you'll be familiar with if you've already used our products. So we've got these and you can switch them on and off depending on which one you'd like to use. So I'll switch off the rocks and then we've got this view. So just to speed things along while I'm working, I'm going to switch the room off. That way I don't have to render all the background. It's a nice quick way for me to work and use the main preview window for what I'm going to be working on. So I'm going to jump in and mess around with the lights first of all. So you see here that we've got some area lights. So you can put these on if you want to boost things up. I'm going to keep them switched off for now, but if you do switch them on, make sure you've got these camera icons checked as well, because otherwise it won't render. This is for you to preview. This is for it to be included in the render. So I'm going to go over to the circular light, which is at the bottom. And when I clicked on that, you'll see that I've got the color over here. Now I can change that to anything I like, and that's going to impact the lighting underneath the garment. So if I was to go something that's nice and bright blue, I could also increase the strength of that as well. So you start to see a couple of little bits coming through onto the garment here. So if we just gently crank that up, we then go to the camera view as well, and we can see what that's looking like. So you can see a little bit of blue coming through here, and we could do it with the top light as well. So if you wanted to change the color of that, you could. I'd keep that as it is, but if you wanted to have something a bit warmer, you could, and you can see that that impacts the garment. But I'm going to keep that lighting natural because I think that looks good as is. But I think this one at the bottom is quite good to give it a little accent if you want. So we'll go ahead and click on our hoodie, and this is where we can go and update our artwork. So as you'll see, if I hit space, it will start walking. I'm going to switch over to a different render mode just to speed things up. So you can see it walks, and that might be good for you. You might want that so you can show off the whole garment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these keyframes. So I'm going to delete these, and I delete these ones as well. So it's just walking in a straight line. So I also think I'm going to rotate this so it's walking at a slight angle. So I'm going to zoom out using the rotation tool, and I'm going to grab the blue axis and I'm just going to rotate it to that way. Now I'm going to click on the camera again, press play, and I quite like that with the side angle, so it's not so intense when it's walking along. You could have it walking left, you could have it walking right, you can flip it all the way around so it's to show in the back print. It's entirely up to you, or just keep it rotating as you already have. We can choose different cameras as well. So if we go to camera 1, got that view. If we go to camera 2, so it's the mid-range, then we've got the range from right out front And then we've got this close-up range. That's quite good for showing the front design of the hoodie. Then we've got this angle, which is quite nice. And then you've got this angle too. And this one. And then we've got this one as well. So we've got a few options for you to go through. But let's go ahead and start placing our artwork on this. So in order to do that, we want to go back over to the folder that you would have got when you were downloading this, and you'll see you've got place your design here. So let's open up that. So this is the placement that I'm going to go for this design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off the background now. So you'll see it's just the white. And then I'm going to go and save this down as a PNG. So if we go to save for web, and we want to save this down as a PNG, and we want to make sure the size is exactly the same. We don't want to change that because it will mess everything up. So we're going to save that down, and we could just put it anywhere. I'm going to put it on the desktop for now. And then I'm just going to put design just to keep it nice and simple. And then I'm going to go back over to Blender, go to this render mode now so I can see exactly what I'm doing. And then I need to go through each of these individual slots here and update my artwork. So we'll go to the main material first, and then you want to click on this new image here. So we're going to click on that and then click OK when it prompts us. And then I'm going to click that folder and then go and locate my artwork. So we'll go to desktop and it's here. So I'm going to open that. So you'll see we've got that placed on there now. Next, we want to go to the arms, and we're going to do the same process for each of these. So we're going to update the design again onto the arm, and you'll see now that we've got the artwork on the sleeve as well. So there are other parts of the garment as well that I need to update my artwork to. You want to make sure you go through and do all of these as well, because if you haven't got the washed effect on some of them, but you have on others, then you're going to run into some inconsistencies. So you just need to go through and do that quickly. And it's just a case of updating your artwork. And the reason why I've made all these sections editable is so you can go through and update things to the side of the hood, the cuffs, the pocket, anything you like. We don't want you to run into any limitations in that sense. So yeah, so it's just a case of going through and updating your artwork. And then you'll see that the final two are the cuffs. We don't need to worry about them so much because they're all the way in here and we're not necessarily going to see them. And then obviously the final one is the sewing material as well, and that's just the thread. So you really don't need to worry about that so much either. But you'll see that we've got all the textures in here. We're all ready to go. And of course, if you'd like to add embroidery or puff print, then you can go ahead and do that too. And we've got another video here that walks you through the process of doing that. So we've got our artwork added. The next thing we want to go ahead and do is go and change the color should we wish to. So let's go and locate slot number 1, and then we're going to change the color by clicking on this section here where it says color. So you click that, and then you can just change the color to anything you want. You can change it to red and have it as bright or as dark as you want. What I think is a good thing to do, just to keep things nice and consistent, is find the color that you're after. So in this case, I'm going to stick with the black, but I'm going to go into the hex and I'm going to copy that code. I'm going to use that, go through and make sure that all the colors of each individual panel are exactly the same color. So for example, we go to the inside hood, you'll see that that's a slightly different color. We'll set that to the same color and it's nice and consistent. So that's all ready to go. We can go ahead and see what this is previewing like. And I think that to me is looking quite nice. Really happy with that. We'll go to our camera view and see what that's going to look like in that view. So we'll activate this camera. I think that's the view I'm going to go for. And again, this is taking its time because it's having to go through and give you a live render preview of each shot. So it takes a little bit of time to go through that. But then once that's done, you're essentially ready to do your first render. Now, what I would suggest is just rendering a quick image first, just so you can check it. And you'll see here that I've also got the background transparent still. And I quite like to work in that way just because it speeds up the whole process. So I'm going to go ahead and render image. And we're going to go and see exactly how that's looking. So I think that looks really nice. I'm happy with that. So that set the scene for what I'm going to render out now for my little mini video. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to change this. So I'm going to have the first half walking like that. So you'll see that we've got 152 frames in this. So what I'm going to do is roughly half that. So let's go to around 75. So I'm going to render the first half of this. So it's walking in this direction. So I'm going to go up here and click render animation. And then that will go through and render all of this view walking in that direction. And then I'm going to undo that, start the next one at 76 and let that finish on 152. Make sure I'm clicked on the hoodie, get that rotation tool again, and I'm going to rotate that all the way around. So this way, when I go to my camera again, go to the camera view, Now I've got the sleeve and the back print for the second half. So I'm going to have the first part of the video is showing the front of the garment, and I'm going to show the second half of the video showing the back of the garment. Now for this one, I can also go ahead and click render animation, and I'm going to create the PNG sequence of this. And in order to make sure that that's the case, we can go over here and check a couple of settings just to finish off. So at the moment, we've got it set to 1200 by 1200. That's a good size. And if we go to the little camera icon, you see that we've got max sample set to 250. We could reduce that if we want to really speed things up. So let's just go down to 200 just for argument's sake. And we'll click on denoise as well. So now that's all set up, I'm going to go ahead and click render animation. I'm going to go into town, grab myself a coffee, and by the time I come back, this should all be done. So that has finished rendering now. So if we go over to our folder that we were initially working with, you'll see that we've now got all of them dumped into this folder. So we've got every single image from that sequence. So if we scroll down as well, you'll see that there's also another folder that contains them all in there. So what we can do is just to tidy things up, because we don't need duplicates, we can go ahead and just take these and drag them in the bin if you've got duplicates like I have. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because we don't need two of everything. So you'll see that we've got everything here in a nice PNG sequence. So the next thing we need to do is go and export the background that we want to use. So I'm going to go and switch the hoodie off this time. So up here, and then I'm going to go and switch the background on. So if we go down to rooms, switch that on. I'm going to use that view. What I might do though, that blue is looking a little bit purpley for me. So I might just change that blue quickly. Go to the light at the bottom, and I'm just going to change that, make it a bit more, a bit more of a light blue. I think that will look a bit nicer. So I'm going to change this. So this is going to be ready for like social media. So I'm going to go to 1080 by 1920. So I think the camera positioning is fine. So we'll stick with that for now. And what we're going to do on this occasion is just going to render an image. So we'll go and render that down. So essentially what I'm doing now is I'm rendering the background as just a single image on its own. And you'll notice that it's taking ages in comparison to the hoodie because there's so much more detail in that. So what we'll do is we'll have the hoodie on the top, and then we'll have the background behind it as an image, and we'll have the transparent PNG of the hoodie rotating, animating, whatever it is that we do on top of that. So we just speed up the whole render process without having to sit here all night and wait for it. Okay, so that render is done. So we're going to go and save that down to the desktop. So we'll go to save as, and then hit desktop, and then we'll just call this background. I think I'm going to go and change the background wall as well, because at the moment that is set to black. And I think with a black garment, if we had a white background, it might help it stand out a bit more. So I'm going to go and get this charcoal. I'm going to bring that up to a nice white, and I'm going to go and render this one as well. Okay, now that white render is done as well, I'm going to go and save that one to my desktop as well. So if we go to Premiere Pro and we go to File, New, and then we go to Sequence, I'm then going to go and choose that social media tab, and I'm going to go for the 9 by 16. So I'm going to click OK, and that'll give me my size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to get the white background. I'll put that one in there first. And then I'm going to go and get the black one as well, so we can see how they both look. And I'm going to zoom in as well a little bit, just so I can see what I'm doing. So we've got both of those. So we've got the option to choose from. I do quite like the black one, so we'll see how we go. But what I'll do is then go and import my sequence. So I'm going to go to File, Import, and then we're going to go and find our image sequence. So if they're out of order, you can just arrange them so they're done by name. Click the first one and then go to Show Options, and then make sure the image sequence is checked. Then we want to import that, and then we can go and drag that into our timeline. Then you'll see that we've got everything working as we need. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So I'm going to go to right click and then speed duration. And I'm going to speed this up to around 170, I think. And I think I'm going to keep it on the white background. Let's have a look at it on that. I do like it on that, but I think I will keep it on the white background for this one. But it's good that I've got that as an option as well if I want to change it. So I will also bring this along a little bit as well, just so it's a bit more centered. And I think that's looking nice. And that's essentially it. We can use that to promote our products, pitch stuff to your client, whatever it is you're looking to do. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Igor as well. Feel free to do all the usual, subscribe, like, all that stuff. And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Cheers.
So I came in the game just to kill it.